many strands. And not long after, the imagination of a sailor people was captured poignantly by a ship. The Titanic set its course straight into our hearts and has remained there ever since. Another ship there was too, whose fate was bound with ice, the Terra Nova. Renowned not so much for herself as for certain gallant gentlemen aboard. Scott, Wilson, Bowers, Oates, Evans. Victory went before them to another, yet they found glory. Had we lived, Scott wrote, we should have had a tale to tell that would have stirred the heart of any Englishman. It came to us all out of the blue of an English summer. To the man in the street, it seemed a simple issue, an affair of honor, of gallant little Belgium and a scrap of paper. Wars were distant, rather romantic things that took place on some foreign field you made forever England. It was a mere interruption to the flow of peaceful days we took to be the normal lot of man. It would be over by Christmas. They were to march away for many weary years, but they had no means of telling what awaited them. Buoyantly, they went on their way to places on the map they had never heard of. Places that would be written in the hearts of their womenfolk. Ypres, Passchendaele, Mons, the Somme, and Vimy Ridge.
Now women began to find their place in what had been the kingdom of man. So the years wore on. It wasn't over by Christmas or the next, or yet the next. Many who had marched away so bravely never returned, or if they did were all too often broken in body. Some went back to fight again. In the meantime, there were precious moments. You entertained the wounded. You bought war bonds, maybe from George Robey. You did whatever you could do best, like Harry Tate. You went amongst the boys like Hetty King, made them forget the horrors behind them and the perils yet to come.
Let the great big world keep turning. Never mind if I've got you, for I only know that I want you so, and there's no one else will do. You have simply set me yearning, and forever I'll be true. Let the great big world keep on turning round. Now I've found someone like you.
People tightened their belts and learned to endure, united by their spirit and by those ties that meant then as now their country. From such stuff in men and women are great achievements wrought, from selflessness and courage, the strength in silent places of the heart, the tenacity that in the end means victory. At last, like all things, it was over, and they started on the march to Blighty, and the longer march to happiness and peace and understanding.
Long, long trail a-winding into the land of my dreams, where the nightingales are singing and the white moon beams.
I'll go with you then, since you must play this game of ghosts. At listening posts, we'll peer across dim craters, joke with jaded men whose names we've long forgotten. People are wonderful, aren't they? You can knock the ground right from under them and they'll always come up ready to believe in something.
After that particular shambles, they believed in a land fit for heroes. Instead, all they got was the 20s.
To say nothing of the 30s.
20s were pretty mad, weren't they?
You could take your choice. D.H. Lawrence, Huxley, Freud, the blues, Voronoff's monkey glands, anything from channel swimming to pole squatting.
It was understandable. The Victorian age had promised security and ended in 4 years of slaughter. You paraded your own beliefs in a kind of defiance, determined to fight anything that looked like humbug or hypocrisy. Our roseate dreams of a brave new world soon vanished as the truth sank home. The whole world, not just our country, had felt the impact of destructive forces, the economic consequences of modern war. The evidence lay all around us, and it was a time of disillusion. The dream world you'd pictured on lonely evenings in the trenches was indeed a dream. This was Blighty, and now you are back. A succession of strikes weakened an already shaky economic structure, culminating in the general strike of 1926, a strike that paralyzed the nation. People wanted security and peace at any price. It was that which set the tone of political leadership in the 20s and 30s. Two men were to dominate the scene, Stanley Baldwin and Ramsay MacDonald. Two men of genius were in the wilderness, Lloyd George, who had been called the architect of victory, and a younger man called Winston Churchill.